Okay, welcome to the Peripheral Views podcast. Thank you, folks, for joining us. I'm your host, Jake, and my co-host again is the amenable Erroll. What's going on, bud?
Hello.
So we got a little post show we're going to throw up. This is right after the conclusion. We did a preview show of the UFC 295 card. So we're going to dive into a little post show. Just to cover the bases, as per usual, you guys know where to find us at Peripheral V123 on X/Twitter. We are at soundcloud.com/peripheral views 123. Throw us in your YouTube search bar. You can find us anywhere on YouTube. All episodes are uploaded to that site. Just throw us in the search bar for Peripheral Views podcast. We are also on Spotify and Apple. Same correspondence, Peripheral Views podcast. Just throw us in the search bar. Give us a rating, subscription, and review if you could. Peripheralviewspodcast.com, also where to find us. Got that out of the way. Let's jump into the main event, UFC 295 tonight in Madison Square Garden. We're going to dive right into it. Just a little post show to cover the bases of what went down tonight. Alex Pereira with a second round knockout at the 4 minute and 8 second mark. A massive accomplishment knockout over Yuri Prochazka in the main event tonight, UFC 295. A little bit going to talk a little bit about some controversy in regards to it, but let's talk a little bit about like this, just the accomplishment, just in general. To Alex Pereira coming from Glory Kickboxing, 2 division champion there, so 2 different weight classes there, champion in both, and then comes over to the UFC, wins the middleweight title over Izzy Adesanya, and then loses that belt via knockout back in April of this year. But he did accomplish the middleweight championship, and now he accomplishes a second weight class championship in a matter of 11 pro MMA fights. I mean, that is just absurd. We'll talk a little bit about the the accomplishment itself, but Erroll, I want to hear your input. Obviously, the place to lead this off is, what do you think about the stoppage?
I was gonna say, I can see why you may be apprehensive and be like, it's kind of early, but what was he gonna do? Stand up on that busted leg?
Yeah, so obviously first round, it seemed like Pereira was doing really quality control on that front lead leg out of orthodox for
Dude,
Yuri,
here's the
and chewing
thing.
it up.
Did you watch the video where Daniel Cormier is he's like, I had him kick me the other day, just like a little bit, and it wicked hurt.
Yeah, and I saw the video, and he barely tapped him with it.
It
It's like that
looks
leg.
That's what it looks like he was doing in the fight, kind of. I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
he's just hamming it up, and then
that thing's made of steel, and it comes like Rogan was saying, he doesn't turn the hip over on it like most guys, where he follows through with it. It's really just as soon as he makes contact, he pulls back, and I don't know how he's landing it with such efficiency, but I mean, he chewed that leg of.
It's like you see it, and you're so used to if you're gonna get wobbled like that on a leg kick, you see someone wind up and turn those hips and kick your feet out from underneath it. He just just throwing it out there.
Well, the leg always dropped him. The leg always kind of after a leg kick, you will usually it'll snap off and hit the calf or the thigh, and then typically whoever's throwing it, the leg will kind of wind up overlapping over the other leg because that hip kind of rolls over it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just not the way that he throws it, and he just kind of snaps it off and then pulls back on it. And it's you wonder maybe it's what keeps his stance in place. He keeps him in that, because I don't know. I'm not an expert in technique by any stretch of the imagination. So just understand that. I've been watching MMA for a very short while, probably less than 10 years, diligently. But I will say, I wonder if that kick, snapping it off and just kind of snapping it off on the calf of the opponent and then pulling it back, keeps him in stance. It almost kind of opens up. So a lot of guys will try to counter off of a leg kick like that, and it sets him up perfectly to chop with that left hook. So Pereira has that left hook. That's what That's what actually rocked Adesanya and led to his knockout, a year ago. But like, I wonder if why he snaps it off that way is to draw in the opponent to counter off the leg kick. So like usually somebody throws a low kick, that's an opportunity for the opponent to kind of go upstairs on him.
Right.
And I wonder if he tries to draw them in and doesn't commit fully to the leg kick so that he can regain his stance to throw that left hook.
It's like he knows that his like half-hearted leg kick is going to be as good, if not better, than like a wholehearted leg kick by someone else, with him being a kickboxer.
Well,
he's like, I could just throw it out there.
I'm rewatching it. I'm rewatching the actual true knockdown and what it could be described as like the beginning of the end. It was again the left hook. It was that left hook, and this was Yuri closing the distance, coming in up against the fence. He hits him with a right, and then it's the left hook that drops Yuri again. I do understand. Okay, so let me give my take on the stoppage. It sounds to me, okay, in the post-fight interview, Yuri Prochazka does fully acknowledge that he was out. That being the case, I'm good with the stoppage now. I can't, if the fighter himself comes out and says that, like, I was out. It did kind of look like he was out. Like, as he's falling back, you kind of see his arm go limp, right? Did you see that as well?
A little bit, but I was also worried about that when he had him in this standing guillotine.
Yeah, his eyes closed. It looked like
I
saw the same thing. I was like, holy shit, is he out? Here's the thing about Prochazka. Like, there were like multiple moments. He's such a confusing, awkward style fighter.
He was dangerous the whole time.
When he was fighting Glover, though, there were multiple moments in that fight where it was like he was tapping Glover, like, but it was like kind of like competitive tapping. But like, I even think the commentator, I think it might have been Bisping or Cormier, they were saying the same thing. They were like, he's got to be careful about that because like the referee could interpret that as being like a submission. Because he was like tapping him in these like grappling exchanges, like tapping him on the side, tapping him on the shoulder. But he was just being like
good job.
Like, good job, right? And like, this dude is like, he's just a very strange fighter in every single way, including his personality. Like, he's just a very interesting cat. But like, that's why when I see him, I think that is why the instinct for most viewers was early stoppage. Like, I think if it was any other fighter, they probably would be more okay with the stoppage. Maybe not completely, but like definitely more. Whereas this guy has like played possum enough, and maybe not even possum, but like it's very difficult to determine if he's like truly out of the fight or not. And
and that it was established that his ground game is better too. So
for sure.
But that's the thing.
That's what made me think it, right? Is like you see him fall backwards on his back, and you wonder if he's trying to pull Pereira into guard so that like he could further defend and kind of just end. He could put an end.
But as he goes back, because as he goes back, you see his hands go up.
That's what I mean. His arms did appear to go limp as he's kind of falling back to the canvas,
like they go up above his head, like he's on a
and if he's the one who's, I mean, he openly said in the post fight interview that he was out cold. So like if he says he's out and it's a good stoppage, I'm good with the stoppage.
I'm not.
I will say this. I would, as a viewer, not as a respecter of like MMA and like results and like the moral code of the fighter. I will say it was like just as a viewer, purely and simply, I would have preferred something more definitive just watching because of how great this night was. But like if that means that a fighter's got to take more damage on the way to that, then like I'm good with what we got.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like at the end of the day, they pay these refs and they've done it for a long time. Like I mean, if it was Herb Dean, then we would have saw it.
Yeah, and I do think it just makes me wonder. I know he said he was out, but like I also wonder about Yuri. Like maybe he's just saying that because he just doesn't. He's just such a respectful fighter. Like he respects the game so much. Well, I wonder if he's just saying that to make sure that like nothing's taken away from his opponent. Because I do think as soon as Goddard got involved, it seems like he like rolled up to his knees and he was fully with it. I mean, I don't
Right.
know.
He
I
seemed
don't
a
know.
little like a little upset too, which I mean, you're no matter what, you're going to be upset if with
Right.
all that on the line.
For
But
sure.
my argument is he hits him with the left and then it almost looks like he tries to catch himself. But
Yeah.
then like you can tell like the like he you get hit and you're kind of rocked and dazed. You're like, oh, I'll just stand up on my right leg, and you forget that your whole leg has just been torn from the first from the first encounter, and then
Right.
I think he dropped down a bit, and then when he started hitting him with those up, which to me those looked a little close to like 12-6. Like
They were pretty vicious and they were very close to 12-6. But like
I
it's
was
almost like they
like,
don't even enforce that anymore. It's very rare to see a referee get
it
involved
should.
on the
I think they're
angle.
just more worried if it's
Back of
like
the
on the
head.
ground,
Yeah, if
yeah,
it's a
and like back
grounded
of the.
opponent or back of the head, as
But I
it
was like,
focus on.
that is a vicious angle for something to just just get to just keep taking that kind of damage. So when he like you said, like possibly pulled back to pull guard. If he would have like held up close, it probably wouldn't have been a stoppage. But the fact that he flew back and then he's on him, what's he gonna do? Stop punching him?
Yeah, I mean Pejeda's game was like perfect in this regard. And I mean he listen, at the end of the day, one way or the other, the left hook landed clean and it did drop him. And he once he hit the canvas, it was a matter of it was I think at the end of the day, it's kind of like the Adesanya stoppage, which was also the same referee, Mark Goddard. And the perspective is that I felt the same way about that stoppage, where like I felt like Adesanya was out and on his feet, but the important factor being that he was on his feet. So it's like it's just not definitive. And like sometimes as a viewer, you want a definitive answer as to like, okay, is this fighter able to continue competing? Whereas like the referee's more so concerned with trying to preserve the health of the fighter, which I understand. And I actually think that in both cases, like that's what he did. And that's probably the right stoppage. But I do understand if Yuri had come out and been like, no, I was still good to go. And I actually thought that I recovered quickly and I was looking to exchange on the ground. That would be a different story. Like if I wasn't hearing this from Yuri, I think I would be calling bad stoppage because
Mm-hmm.
he actually said he was out. But from what I can tell, he rolled off of the stoppage and was like completely with it still. So I wonder if he was out and then like came to just as the referee got involved. But
Right.
even in that case, like he got knocked out in the Dominic Reyes fight and like came back and viciously knocked out Reyes in the same fight. Like he came back and won the fight. So it's like with this guy, it's very peculiar. He's a different kind of fighter. He has a different style. It's very awkward. It's very different, and I think it's very difficult for you know, even a referee as experienced as Mark Goddard to maybe um, especially I don't know, maybe it was part of me that was like I think this was a lot of people too. They were kind of expecting just like an ultimate war, and
Right.
because they're just that those guys like they we were talking about this via text before the podcast about like the aura of these two, and like they just very much exude an aura of we're gonna like this is going to be battle, a true war
Right.
of gladiators. And I just feel like because of that expectation, you would want a longer leash on both fighters. But at the end of the day, the referee's got to do his job.
Yeah, he's got to make sure people don't get hurt worse than they need to.
Yeah, that unnecessary damage is probably like the criteria. So, I mean, it was this one of your expected? I mean, it had to be one of the outcomes that you expected, from this fight. What I mean, was this your
Um,
pick though?
I think that this is almost a perfect fight for Alex. I think it's like pretty much like what he'd want to do with his game plan, and he was tested against it too multiple times, both standing and on the ground. So
Yeah.
I think it was very important for him to. I mean, first couple seconds he looses that leg kick and like just stumbles him, but he's like, "All right, that's the game plan." And then I think they said to his corner was like, "We already found the path." He's like, "Just keep walking that path." He's like, you just keep chopping that tree down, and then eventually you're gonna be good to go. So I think, while that stoppage might have been early, I do believe, even if they go to the ground, he recovers, he stays on the ground, he turns it around, or something like that. The round gets stopped, and then he's still in that war of attrition.
What do you
But
think about What do you think about the case? I know that Pereira called out Adesanya for a 205 match, which I would love to see. I know Adesanya has publicly stated like he's taking a break from the sport, which I think is well deserved. Being how active he was, he was far more active than any other middleweight, and he was the champion, which is absurd.
Right.
So understandably, he's taking a break, and I wonder if he takes the bait on that. Because I actually think he could walk right into a 205 pound, like he could walk right into that weight class up from middleweight at 205 and just be like, I don't think that they would give him any friction. I think he could literally walk into a title fight against Pereira. It would be a trilogy fight with him, which I would love to see. However, I mean, if Adesanya is not next in line, I know Jamal Hill was in the arena tonight and calling for the next fight.
He has to, right? Has to be
Jamal Hill, because he was the belt holder, and then obviously suffered that Achilles injury. I would say that like that makes the most sense. However, I'm wondering about the timeline from the injury. Like,
oh yeah, no, because that's something. It's one of the worst injuries you can get.
It's a bad injury. It's an Achilles injury. I wonder when he'll be ready. And Pereira's been active as all get out. I mean, this is his third fight this year, fourth fight since last MSG, which was last November, in a 12-month span. So I'm wondering if he'll probably want to fight sooner than Jamal's ready to go. In my opinion, this may be a little premature. I say run it back.
To let him do it again?
Yeah, because I actually saw enough from Yuri. Yuri had him out on his feet. They weren't calling this. Times. The commentary was not mentioning this. Pereira was rocked at one point.
I was so scared until he put him in that
until he took him to the ground. Yeah. Once Yuri shot, which was a smart thing to do. It was smart to shoot in that moment because the wrestling, he maybe thought he had a path to a submission, but he had Pereira really hurt. At the end of somewhere in the middle of that first round, he had him genuinely hurt, mouth open, like breathing heavy, had him genuinely, he was rocked at one point in this fight.
You know how it was bad? Because during that stand-up, I feel like he did better on the ground when he had like full mount.
I agree. Yeah, because it's where it was strange because it's where he would have preferred to be. You're talking about Pereira, right?
Yeah, when Pereira was on his back.
He was like, "Oh, thank God I'm here," because
exactly. Instead of standing with him,
he has good defensive grappling that he learned from Glover about tying up the hands to make sure that the strikes don't rain down the ground and pound. Withholding the ground and pound.
The hand tying that he was doing, it was almost like there was it. It's like artful. Like I was like, what? I was like, how are you not like letting him punch you? Just like, nope, around the shoulder, boom. Yeah, like the tie-ups are crazy, and the way he was just like, sitting up, like leaning into him too, like always like being as close as he could. Probably land like a couple handful of shots, and that's not. I mean, he did like tee off for like a second, but dude, that's usually end game in the UFC. The second they get that on you, you're done.
I'm actually like, yeah. I mean, I don't know, man. I'm not I just saw another clip of the stoppage and like, Jesus, I can't say I'm all the way good with it because I do see him. He's pulling Pereira down. He's wrapping up both legs and he's getting clipped with the elbows and whatever. Just assume the elbows are clean. He actually successfully pulls Pereira down on top of him into full guard, but it never goes into full guard because Goddard weighs the fight off and Erie jumps right up. To me, that's just like he's still there. He's not.
They both do like just kind of roll over.
I think what needed to truly happen was there needed to be a further exchange from the full guard. So like he pulls him down to full guard, which by the way is not a good place to be for Yuri, even in the moment that he's rocked. So he's doing only what he can, which is to pull himself in. He's pulling Pereira into full mount. And that being the case, let that play out for a strike or two. Like, I mean, I know you don't want to give unnecessary damage. I understand, but like, you're not even giving Yuri the opportunity to like hand tie the same way that Pereira was in the previous round. And as I'm looking at it now, I know his arms kind of go a little limp and he's getting clipped. But if you've got a fighter who's pulling guard, he's pulling Pereira into full mount. It's not a good place to be. but I think another 3 to 4 seconds, you'll get either a more definitive stoppage or you'll get a cease to the striking from Yuri will successfully hand tie, keep the striking to a bare minimum where you can keep the fight going, and then you'll get a grappling exchange. And I don't know. It's just with these two kind of fighters, I didn't see a fighter who should have been. No, it's a bad stoppage, man. Fuck, man. It's now I'm looking at it again. It's a bad stoppage. He's just not out. He's still fighting. He's still truly competing. Like he's not. The fight is not clear. It's clearly not over. He's doing what he's supposed to do in that moment, which is he's rocked.
Defending yourself at all times.
And he's doing what he's supposed to do in that moment when you got a guy who's dropping elbows on you, pull him down into full mount, and then try to reverse. You're looking for a reversal there. You're looking for some kind of like grappling reversal to change the positioning so that you're not in a position to get hit. And like that wasn't even seen to completion. So like I do think it's an early stoppage. I really do. I don't like. I know that Yuri says he was out, but I'm seeing the way I'm looking at it. I think he'll probably come out at some point and call early stoppage. Yeah, I'm seeing on Twitter it's actually trending early stoppage. It's just a shame because this is a fight that like you did not want an early stoppage on.
Right.
Because these are warriors. These guys want they want the smoke, right? Like they want to go to the they want to go to that dark place, the deepest of waters. Yeah, that's tough though. That's tough. But nonetheless, Alex Bejeda is your new light heavyweight champion for the time being. So an impressive feat to say the least. I mean, to conquer 2 weight classes within your 11th pro fight is, I mean, I don't think anyone's even come close to that other than maybe Brock Lesnar, although Brock Lesnar didn't take 2 divisions, but like, he obviously walked right into
the biggest one. So
yeah, he took the heavyweight division with no problem.
He would have went up if there is anyone else bigger.
It's true, yeah, and I mean, if you're in the conversation with Brock Lesnar in terms of accomplishment, you're doing the right things in the sport. But let's move on to what do you think? Let's move on to the co-main. Let's talk a little bit about the co-main. We're not going to go long tonight, but we did want to do a little post show, being that we did talk about UFC 295, and I mean, the co-main, man. I mean, listen, I'm not a journalist, a public journalist in any way. Like I'm not I don't have public opinions related to this or that. So I'm just going to come right out and say it. I was really shooting for old Tommy Aspinall tonight because I have heard him in interviews and engaged with him in terms of his content, his like interview content. The guy is one of the most likable fighters in the sport. Like he's extremely like humble. He's got that like, that British, what is it? He just knows how to, he's got charisma. Let's just put it that way. He's got like incredible charisma.
He does seem like an all around, just like nice lad.
He's a fucking sweetheart. He's just a genuine sweetheart. And the guy is like,
his thing that he said, he's like, oh, you got anything? He's like, yeah, believe in yourself. If you like want to do like do something, like if you're scared, it's like worth it.
I mean, that's one of them. That's one of the most excited moments of the year in terms of MMA that I've experienced as a fan. Seeing him get that knockout victory. By the way, like it couldn't have went better for him in this way because he gets the first round knockout and he's like I said, this guy I had mentioned it in the previous podcast, but like between the two of them, like shortest fight octagon time.
And they just still holding it too.
yeah. I mean, this fight finished. I mean, it took a little longer, I guess. I mean, there was 1:09 left.
Oh, sorry. Let them feel each other out for 9 seconds.
It's ultra impressive what he did tonight. Pavlovich was the backup fighter for Jones Stipe tonight, so he was training leading into the. He was training leading up to the date. Like he had to. I don't know that he probably doesn't cut weight, if any at all. But he certainly was training as though he was going to have to fight either Jones or Stipe in a situation there. Aspinall was not. Aspinall was training as though he was anticipating maybe fighting early next year or at best at the end of the year. Fucking walks in here on 11 days notice and gets himself a goddamn first round knockout over the knockout king of the division right now. What is that
Arguably the
about?
scariest person.
Yeah, I mean, what did you think about the performance?
It was I think it was great. So I was gonna ask, like it would be hard to say that this is a fight of the night, but I would almost say that this no, so it may be fight of the night. See? No,
Performance
yeah.
of the night.
Well, because even then everything was in such spectacular fashion across the board,
Truly.
at least for the actual like main event. But I like the Aspinall fight because he was tested. It wasn't they both he gets hit Aspinall. Tom gets hit first, and he gets wobbled. Like it's bad people.
Jesus. Well, look at it this way. Not a single fight on the main card, all 5 fights, not a single one made it out of the second round.
Mm-hmm.
So like that's a good night at the office. And I'm gonna give myself the old pat on the back here. I did say that we had 5 finishes basically awaiting leading into this, because you just look at the styles of fighters, and it's like there's just no way that these fights were going to go the distance, just based on the styles. Like everybody's just and this is genius matchmaking. Like if you're gonna do the Madison Square Garden card, and you're gonna do it in terms of you're gonna put some names up there that like maybe the fans aren't super familiar with, but they might know them, but the hardcores probably know, but like not the casuals. If you're gonna do that, you got to put finishers on the card, and that's exactly what they did. And it's exactly what I said. I predicted 5 finishes. I didn't even expect it to look like this. Like you're talking 3 first round finishes, 1, 2, 3 first round finishes, 2 second round finishes, and the 2 second round finishes did not make it very far into the second round. But I would say Aspinall performance of the night for me, because you don't have any controversy. I mean,
well, I was gonna say don't take that away from Diego Lopez or
Diego Lopez with a
Juan
pretty
Saint
good man.
Denis.
That was
They
pretty
both
definitive.
they're all those are both like help the
I'm gonna
man.
give it to Aspinall only because
He beat the baddest man on the roster.
yeah, I mean he had a championship belt on the line, and by the way, Diego Lopez I think he had a longer camp for this fight. I know
Yeah,
that
that's
it was still short notice. I think I believe this fight was actually booked still short notice, but maybe not quite as short notice as Aspinall. And by the way, I mean just the implications. You got the co-main event slot at MSG. You're fighting a guy who's had like 6 or 7 straight knockouts, all in the first round. And Aspinall goes in there and gets him out of there in the first round. And by the way, this is also what I want to say about that Aspinall performance. Tommy took a shot. He actually got
that's
clipped.
what I'm saying. He got hit hard.
He got clipped and took it. And like, it was like, I wonder if, I was a little nervous because I thought he got hit clean, and I was wondering,
he did.
okay,
He got wobbled.
well, he did, but I was wondering how he handled it. I was wondering like, okay, is he like cross-eyed, he's hurt and he's just on his feet playing like he didn't,
Playing possum.
or did he actually just, because it's all in his head. Only he knows. He took the shot, and did he actually like take the shot and be like, "Oh shit, I can actually handle his power. I'm good. My chin's all right." Or was he like, "Oh fuck, like don't get hit with that"?
I gotta end it now. Yeah. See, I think it's the latter.
I think so too, because he all of a sudden his head movement got real slick, real quick.
Yeah, he started weaving. Yeah,
he's like, "I gotta land, and I gotta land now." But performance of the night, Tom Aspinall, without a doubt. I think that has to be as good as Pereira looked. Pereira got bombed on at moments in that fight, in that main event. I know he got the victory. I'm not trying to take away from him, but he definitely Yuri had a moment where I think if he hadn't tried to go to the wrestling, I think he potentially could have got him out of there with the right striking.
He fought like an injured animal. It was like some of the scariest stuff I've ever seen.
Yeah, an incredible performance. Yeah.
Oh, so I wanted to before we move away from the Aspinall one, I wanted to say the early the stare down. That was the most respectful thing I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, they gave the old fucking like arm around the shoulder and then a hug.
Yeah,
like,
they're just sitting there looking at each other, taking each other serious. They're like, dude, they're like I felt like that. like in my head, they're just looking at each other like they're like, it could be any one of us. It could be me. It could be you. Like I'm sorry. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah. Tom, listen, man. If you go back and you check out some interviews with Tom, like he's genuinely one of the most likable people in the sport. He's like, um, what do the British have? They have that like uh, self-deprecating humor. You know what I mean? Like that's
mhm.
kind of like a part of their culture. Is like they're like there's that wit and that like that humility about them that like they're and he's got that in spades and he's I
They like I
quoted
think they hugged.
yeah,
They
they
like
no, they
shake
did. They
hands and then
absolutely did.
yeah, they're
Yeah,
like bring it on in.
yeah, it's amazing. He's a great bloke, and I just hope to see him like personally. I'd like to see him against Jones. I mean, let's dive into it. What do you want to see next? Because it looks like what they want to do is they want to preserve the Stipe Jones
Stipe,
fight.
yeah.
You know, the Stipe Jones fight is like kind of the one they want, being that Jones is like the full undisputed champ, but Jones has got this injury, so we're waiting on that. What the fuck does Aspinall do until so Jones it won't be ready? You know, like I told you in the last pod, we're talking about a full pectoral tear, which means this dude's not fighting until probably summer next year. Um,
Aspinall Stipe.
I, I wouldn't mind seeing it, but like I don't know that Stipe's gonna want that.
No,
I don't
I
know that
wouldn't
the
want
UFC.
that.
So like it's been very rare for an because you remember this is the interim championship.
Mhm.
It's the interim heavyweight championship. That being the case, you wonder a little bit about what they're gonna do with that. It has been defended before. I don't know when. It's been a I think Whitaker did it once. And maybe a couple other times. A very small handful of times has it been actually defended. But for me, my perspective is like you don't want to defend an interim belt because the purpose of the interim belt is it's supposed to be a bridge to the undisputed belt,
Right.
and you don't
Yeah.
want to put
So
the interim
you
guy on
know,
ice for no reason.
right.
I mean, this guy just did this company a super solid by taking this fight as high risk as it gets. You're taking a fight short notice, like 2 weeks notice against a fucking absolute killer like Pavlovich, who has been knocking dudes out in the first round 7 straight. You're talking like 6 or 7 straight fights. He's put guys, these heavyweight contenders, to in the shadow realm over and over again in the first round. This dude takes the fight, you know, against all odds, and he gets it fucking done in the first. He didn't get it done like down the stretch. Like it's not like he like wore him down and had this great game plan. No, no, no. He fucking bet on himself and he got it done. He's
Mhm.
just faster and a better striker and landed the shots and got him the fuck out of there. I mean,
Right.
this is very definitively Aspinall with the performance of the night, and maybe one of my favorite performances of the year. I mean, I just couldn't believe that he was able to do that based on like how little preparation he had for Pavlovich. I know he had trained for a fight between the two previously, but like not in 2 weeks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's go down the rest of the card before we get into like kind of the matchmaking side of things. Jessica Andrade finishes Mackenzie Dern in the second round via KO or TKO. I mean,
That was a
bro,
that was a
you
war
had 5
too.
knockouts tonight on your main
That was
card.
a you know how like I don't like the first thing I thought would or like while I was watching that I was like this is a dog fight. I was like this is not even to be cliche. I was like this is not even cavalier. I was like they are scrapping, dude.
It
I was
was, yeah.
watching Mackenzie Dern swing. I was like she would light me up. I was
Well,
like no competition.
her striking looked better than the commentators were
That's
like.
what I was
They
saying. I
were
was like,
really
what do
shitting on her,
you?
but I actually thought she was working behind the jab really well. But then when shit got hairy is when things got sloppy.
But that's what are you gonna do? You know what I mean? Everyone has a
Andrade
game
has
plan
got
till you
big
get
power,
punched in
and
the
she showed
face.
it. Yeah, I mean Andrade brought big power when she landed clean. It seemed like Dern just didn't have an answer for it in any real way.
Dude,
Um,
it seemed like Dern was just one good combo away because I felt like the staggering was like back and forth, back and forth.
Me too. I thought Dern was in the fight a lot more than the commentators were giving her credit for.
I think it's
Up
just
to
some
a
of the
certain
stuff.
point.
See, there was certain stuff that she was like doing that is like it wasn't helping her at all. So I think they were like leaning into that a little much. But I'm like, man, you get a little tired sometimes. You're like, let me just hit her with a ping, 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 ping. Or it
Yeah,
just didn't play out?
there's some so I'm looking at Twitter right now, and Merab Dwalishvili has he just posted. He said, "Bullshit early stoppage. Mark Goddard does it again. We are fighters. Let us fight." Um, I'm just gonna kind of go through some MMA tweets just to keep everybody in the loop of what's going on as of tonight. November 12th. This is post show UFC 295. Cyril Gahn says, "Congratulations, Tom. You are now the champion and become the one being pursued, and I am the hunter. See you soon." Ooh, so you're maybe that's the move. Maybe you do a little interim title defense from Tom Aspinall between Tom Aspinall and Cyril Gahn. I got to be honest, I favor Tom Aspinall big time in that fight.
I do too, but that's also one of the last people I would want to like have in my inbox or like posting something like I'm coming.
Cyril Gahn's coming for you.
Like why?
Well, if Aspinall's smart, here's what I'm going to be honest with you. I think Aspinall's got the advantage, both definitely on the ground, obviously, as we saw from Jones, and Aspinall is a tremendous submission artist. I actually think he beats him on the feet. Aspinall is fast as shit, man. For a heavyweight, did you see how fast he was?
I like Aspinall versus Jones if Jones doesn't retire.
I do too. I think that's a great fight, and I know Jones is not going to do it. He's not going to take that fight. He wants Stipe. I would give Jones some gangster points big time if he actually said, "Fuck Stipe, I want the interim belt, holder." Yeah, like I would respect him big time for taking that fight, because at the end of the day, bro, are you going to tell me that after that, Stipe Miocic deserves the heavyweight shot over Aspinall? Aspinall,
you know what it reminds me of? Like, it has like parallels to like, just because it's almost cliche because it's the heavyweight, but like it has parallels to like Godzilla and like King Kong and Monster Island. Like that was a roar, that was a battle cry, like that was a statement. He was like, I'm the baddest person here. Like y'all can have your little fight over there, but like we're doing big dog stuff over here. You can have your little glory days battle. Have fun with that. He's like,
it's just so crazy. Now. Like Aspinall. So I mentioned in the previous podcast, can you imagine if Pereira went up to heavyweight? I got to be honest with you now. Okay, so I had that.
I don't think
Aspinall would beat the shit out of that dude. There's too much power there, clearly, because he just put out the heavyweight knockout king at the moment. Like you got a guy like Pavlovich who's just he's just a headhunter putting everybody to sleep. Just this like. This Russian assassin just taking scalps, and Aspinall just went in there and did the damn thing. I can't imagine as good of a striker as Pereira is. I think Aspinall wouldn't even have to strike with him. He could just literally wrap him up on one strike attempt, and that would be a wrap. I mean, he's just so big. So let's look at the scorecards though for the main event here. It appears as though all three judges' scorecards gave the first round to Prochazka, which I think that's right. Do you think that's right? Did you have that the same way?
Yes, just because of the takedown and then the octagon control while he was down there. But here's the thing: I've never seen like such a like a silver lining, like double edged. Like Yuri Prochazka, he won the first round, like you could argue definitively, but I was like, I think he got hurt more. Like I think Alex definitely hurt him more. Yeah, so I was like, you won, but did you win? I was like, I don't know how that. And when the second round started, you could really see him favoring it, and that's the thing too. Like Joe Rogan's like, oh, he's bruising already. That was like 12 seconds after he it was exactly 3 strikes. After the third strike, it looked like that calf was absolute toast.
Well, hold on, Erroll. What we're going to do is we're going to take a really, really short break. We're going to dive back in. I just want to cover the rest of the card, and then we'll close it out for the night. But let's take a short break before we do. We'll be right back, and we'll talk about the rest of the card. Okay, thanks for hanging in there, folks. We are recapping the night that was in Madison Square Garden, doing a little post show. Yuri Prochazka and Alex Pereira went only into the second round. Alex Pereira becomes a 2-division champion via second round knockout of Alex Pereira. Quite amazing. Quite an amazing turn of events. I mean, what an accomplishment just to get that finish. In the I understand the early stoppage. I do think it was an early stoppage. I just see I see a guy still in the fight in Yuri Prochazka, but no less. You don't want to take anything away from
If there's
Pereira.
anyone who can fight, though, you know what I mean.
Yeah. I mean,
I would have told my corner to throw that towel in the second he kicked me the third time. I'm like, you see
that leg is trash, bro. Yeah, I mean, it was. I do. I do think hearing Prochazka say that he was out, it makes me second guess
So
exactly where the stoppage is at, but I don't know. Nonetheless, I
he
still
said
view it as an early stoppage. Nonetheless,
he said he wanted to feel his warrior spirit. I think in that battle he could look deep down and be like he arguably beat me and that it wasn't in a good situation. I think that's why, like, I hate to just like speak for him, but I feel like he is sitting down there reflecting, feeling his leg, and he's like, you know what? Not really much I could have done. Like, you know what I mean? I mean, I wasn't technically knocked out. I was like kind of there.
Yeah,
like,
I don't know. I still think he could have stood on the leg. Whether or not he was compromised on the leg is not up for debate. Like his leg was very clearly absolute trash. But like he was standing on it up until that point. So from my perspective, I just see a guy who's looking to still fight, and I don't know.
doing all you can in that
Did
situation.
you see Bill Burr's wife flip Donald Trump the birds tonight? That was fucking hilarious. That was fucking great, man. Bill Burr, dude. Bill Burr is my fucking guy. Like Bill Burr is my all-time favorite comedian. I've seen him live. I've been listening to his podcast. I mean, Erroll, you know this. I've been listening to Bill Burr since I was like, I've been listening to that dude's podcast since like 2008. Like I'm a Monday morning podcast guy since forever, and his wife Nia is just the shit, and she flipped Donald Trump the birds while he was like on camera, and I gotta give her respect for that. That's
Dana had the huge posse.
He had
Donald Trump, Kid Rock.
Bro, he had the chorus, the choir boys rolling in tonight. Yeah, the choir boys rolling in tonight in their fucking checkered blue shirts and shit. But yeah, I mean, whatever. I don't care about any of that. Anyways, let's move down the card a little bit. We talked a little bit about the main and co-main event. Obviously, we talked a little bit about Andrade getting that second round KO. Oh, you got something more? Hit me.
Yeah, we were just saying before, Pavlovich, 1 out of 7 total strikes. He hits him one time and staggers him. First strike landed in the fight, and he's like, okay, can't let
he's got Francis Ngannou power. There's no arguing that. It's just everybody was wondering, like, what does the Aspinall chin look like? Nobody's been able to really touch him much in his UFC career, at least. And I know he's got 3 professional losses, but none of them have come in one of them came in the UFC. It's hard to call that a loss, though. I mean, he had a loss to Curtis Blades, but like in all reality, it's kind of a bullshit loss because he lost via knee injury. I mean, the fight had just started. It was like 15 seconds into the fight, and he like threw a kick, and then I can't exactly remember how it went, but like it's not a real loss; it's an injury loss, and you gotta nurse your injuries correctly and whatever. But like, Jesus, man, he really only has one legitimate loss because the other loss is a DQ. It's like a John Jones situation where it looked like he got disqualified for an illegal downward elbow. Same thing as John Jones. So like for my money,
yeah, that's why my man Matt Hamill the GOAT.
Matt Hamill the GOAT got fucking clipped with that 12-6. He was like, "What the fuck, man?"
He used to train in Syracuse.
I've heard that before. Yeah.
Yeah, my uncle went to a couple things and he was there, and my uncle's like, "This guy's the real deal." And I was like,
I got to be honest. I mean, that 12-6 nonsense is bullshit. I know it's what
So he had him though. I'm gonna be real, but that
he
was
had
also some
Jones.
crazy. No, Jones had him
Oh God, Jones
before,
is
but
beating the shit out of him, bro.
I
It
was
wasn't
like,
even
dang, you're
close.
just gonna hit him with the, you're gonna actually kill him. I
Yeah.
was like,
Well. So if you do look at the career of Tom Aspinall, he got submission heel hooked in 2015 in his only his fourth professional fight, and that's a true loss. That is, as far as I can tell, that's his only true loss for me. I mean,
yeah, but
that's just my opinion.
if
But
you're gonna lose a fight though to like a submission, like
heel hook.
that's Anderson too. He got beat with a flying scissor heel hook by this one dude.
Mm-hmm.
Forgot the guy's name, but it wasn't in the UFC. It was before the UFC, and this Anderson's just teeing off on this guy, and he's like, "I got one chance." Flying scissor heel hooks him, just hits him and drops him. I was like, "Yo, I'll have to
Yeah,
send you that." It's like probably one of the craziest. I
I
think
gotta
it's the
see that.
craziest move
Yeah.
I've ever seen. I was like,
Well,
"Dang."
let's move down the card a little bit. I want to hit. I want to hit some of the. We don't have to go long. I just want to hit a couple more
Mhm.
big fights of the night. So Benoit Saint Denis head kick KOs Matt Frivola, the hometown boy, came out to the fucking New York Mets. Listen, I hate the New York Mets. So you come out to a fucking New York Mets song, you're in my doghouse already. And I got to be honest with you, I like Matt Frivola. I did notice. I'm not trying to talk shit. I mean, I respect any fighter, but like dude was definitely trying to, he's like very very adamantly and obviously going for like a McGregor knockoff shit that I'm just not into. Even the face off, he did that like super low karate stance, and then he kind of like stands up and gets in BSD's face. Like it was,
Mhm.
and he had the, you saw he had like the shaved sides, and then like the tight
Right,
cornrow samurai shit that McGregor had when he fought Poirier the first time.
right.
You remember that from back in the day? Like he's
Oh yeah.
clearly just going for it. Listen, all respect. I mean, McGregor's the guy that if you're gonna mock somebody, mock the guy who's made the most money in the sport of all time. But
He's just Conor McRegular.
yeah, damn, bro, jeez, take it easy on the guy. He just got fucking head
I
kick
didn't. I mean, I
KO'd.
was asking.
Yeah, I mean that's, to be honest, I actually think that's actually like that's almost like a compliment. That might be shooting above the mark.
We have Conor McGregor at home. It's just
He's
mad on the
Diet
couch.
McGregor. No, but a very interesting performance from the Steamroller. Listen, man, I'm not trying to shit on my New York guys, man. He's a Long Island guy. I like New York
They're
guys, and
both. It was a battle of the veterans too on Veterans Day. So they're
he
both.
wasn't a veteran.
I
Frivola's
thought he
not a vet.
was. I
No,
thought he
just
was.
BSD was. BSD was an armed serviceman.
SAS. I thought they both were for some reason.
No, Frivola is not. Frivola, I believe not. Not to my knowledge. I believe he's just a fighter. But like much respect. I mean, he went out there and was looking to scrap. But like, I will say like you can't fucking disengage on the clinch like that with your fucking hands down, looking to reset and not expect to get fucking head kick KO'd by a guy like BSD. Like,
He's
and
a
and listen, I'm not
lieutenant.
a fucking fighter, so I don't mean to be. I'm talking. I'm not talking shit. I'm just
Yeah, you are
giving
because you're given reverse stolen valor. He's lieutenant in the United States Army Reserve.
Frivola.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. That's not stolen valor. I didn't say that I was.
I said reverse stole. You're stealing his valor away
I
from
didn't
him.
steal his valor. I didn't take it away from him.
I'm not saying you're wearing his pins. You didn't even say he was. No, I'm just.
Matt Frivola. Wait, you said Matt Frivola is? Oh, you're right.
Yeah,
Okay, he's a lieutenant in the reserves.
yeah, but he
Much
wasn't an
respect. Hey, listen.
SAS.
Pardon. I will full public apology. You get all my respect for enlisting and much respect
That's
for
why
your
he
service.
saluted. That's why he saluted him at the
Yeah,
end.
much respect. No, my apologies. That's no good on my part. Much respect. Anybody who serves, regardless of rank or wherever you're at, like if you serve this country, you get all my respect. And
Yes, and I
um,
don't mean to take away from that, especially on Veterans Day, but like imagine being Matt Frivola and be like, all right, I got a pretty good thing going on. Like I'm kind of tough. I was a lieutenant in the United States Army Reserve, and they're like, all right, perfect fight. You're gonna fight someone else who was in the army. And they're like, yeah, what
what
was he
rank?
in? He's SAS.
Oh
Like,
shit!
oh, he said what? Like,
You got anybody else in the reserves? I could probably find a guy.
get any like Get any Coast Guard people or
Oh,
anything you want
it
to
just
do?
so happens that he's fucking 30. He's 12-1, and he's coming off of like 7 finishes in a row, or like eight out of his last. Hold on, let's do the math real. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. All 13 victories are via finish. The only time he's ever lost is when it got to the judges, and he's got a no contest in there because of clash of heads. So like all fucking finishes, top to bottom, except for when he lost. So you got a guy who's like not one, like what a tough assignment for Favola. And it's like I said though, like I mean that's just there is the disengagement on the clinch is what got him, because when he disengaged on the clinch, he wasn't. It didn't appear that he was hurt, but it did look like when he disengaged on that clinch, he like. I think he was. I think he assumed he had a lot more room to reset than he did. Maybe a disorientation around just like where he's at in the cage, but like was clearly at least within legs reach, because when he got clipped by that head kick, it was game over, and that was a hell of a finish, man. That might have been the finish of the night.
Yeah, the one
Aspinall probably, right?
Well, no. So even then, the Diego Lopez.
The Diego Lopez. Let's move
That
right
was
into
in
it then. Diego
spectacular
Lopez, yeah.
fashion.
Yeah, another first round finish. I mean, what a fucking awesome card. I'm gonna say it again because I wanna give myself the old I want to give myself some gold
It's the
stars
only
here.
reason we're even recording this tonight,
Fine, yeah, exactly. When I make a public prediction, I want to talk about it immediately. We got 5 finishes, none of which got out of the second round, including this the main card opener. Diego Lopez in the featherweight division defeating Pat Sabatini via punches KO in the first round again. At the minute 30 mark. What a finish, an unbelievable finish. And Diego Lopez is on the verge, man. I mean, this kid is the real fucking deal. And it was interesting because he came in, right? I remember his debut. It was back in May, I believe. Almost positive it was May. He gave Movsar Evloev a hell of a fight. Movsar Evluez, I'm sorry, it's weird. You'd think the S would be before.
You're about to summon a demon.
Yeah, I'm talking tongues.
Baltazar Alvarez.
Yeah.
So
No,
look back.
Movsar Evluev. Jeez, I gotta. If I read it, I'm good. But like, okay, this is back in May. Lopez took this fight. I believe Bryce Mitchell was due to fight him, but Bryce Mitchell had an injury. So Lopez stepped in and gave him a fucking scrap, man. I remember that fight. It was a very, very, very close fight. And Evloev is a serious problem in that division. I mean, he has been just kind of cruising through the division. Another Russian who's undefeated, actually. He's 17-0. And he has just been moving through. He actually hasn't fought since, and he's going to fight in January. It looks like he's going to fight on that January card against Arnold Allen. But, I mean, he's beat Dan Ige, Nick Lentz. He's beat Hakeem Dawodu. He's beat Mike Grundy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-0 in the UFC, 17-0 overall. And Lopez gave him a fucking fight. Gave him a scrap. It was a good fight. And since then, as expected, 2 first-round finishes for Lopez. So, like, I think this guy, he fought Evloev on very, very short notice. I wonder if he wins that fight with a full camp. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, anything's possible. Anyone's got a puncher's chance.
Yeah, I mean, well, he's just got a skill set that seems to be like, I mean, he puts it to you. He puts it to you like quick too, and it looks like he's willing to scrap. He's willing to get in there and get after it. And he got the victory tonight. Let's see. I want to see if John Jones has responded to the night. Let's see if old Jones has said anything regarding the overall outcome of the night. Let's see. No, he hasn't said shit. Hasn't said
I
a
wouldn't
word.
either, dude.
Not that I could see, unless he said something and deleted it. Bro, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'd like to see him and Aspinall. If we can just skip the whole Stipe thing, that would. I don't know. That's kind of what I'd like to see personally. I don't know. For me, that's the fight. if you gave me any choice of what to see next, I would like to see Aspinall and Jones next. If I'd rematch Yuri and Pajeda and then put Jones and Aspinall on the top of the bill, rematch that shit and do it like UFC 3 International Fight Week in July.
Yeah, because that was Miss Tom Aspinall's done nothing besides make statements.
Yeah, I mean, finish after finish after finish. Let's go through the rest of the overall card, and then we'll close out the night. Like I said, 8 another great UFC night, another great MSG card. Genuinely one of the best UFC MSG cards of all time, and they have put on some great cards. And this was one that I don't think people anticipated to be as good as it was. Steve Ersheg getting the victory over Alessandro Costa.
That was another one that was
fun fight. Yeah, another fun
wicked
fight.
close both sides.
That one went to decision, rare for the night. Also going to decision, Lupi Godinez over Tabitha Ricci. Mateusz Rebeski, I believe is how it's pronounced. It looks like Rebecki, but it's actually Rebeski. Over Roosevelt Roberts, subbed him in the first round. We had that draw. That draw was fun, right? Between Nazim Sadikov and Slavaklaus.
Dude, I'm saying like that
was sick.
I was wondering, I was like, how are you gonna even
score it?
Judge this? Yeah. I was like, Jesus.
That was a wild fight. That was
if you had to give someone the edge.
Well, because it had to. I know probably Sadikov because
that's what I was thinking too.
He had the 10-8. He had that 10-8 round. So like if you wound up with a 10-8 round, I would say that you it's in most cases you're winning the fight, but you can't lose the other 2 rounds or you wind up in that position. And he did. So Jared Gordon got that first round knockout over Mark Madsen. John Castaneda over Kyung Hao. That was a fun fight. That was a really fun fight. Another decision. Joshua Van over Kevin Borjas and Jamal Emmers with that monster. It kicked the night off with a great first round knockout. Which let's see how many.
Set the tone.
There was 1, 2. Hold on. 3, 4, 5 first round knockouts tonight. And then 1, 2. Hold on. 3. 3 other finishes that you had. 2 of those were submissions and 1 was a second round knockout. So like you just got a lot of finishes tonight. It was a great night of fights. Erroll, tell me before we close it out, what do you want to see next for the main and co-main? Like, what do you want to see Prochazka and Pajeda go? Let's start there. What do you want to see for the main event? Where do you want to see those? Who do you want to see those 2 fight next?
Dude, I didn't even think it was an option until you said it. But I think the only thing you can do now is run those 2 back. Give them some time to chill, sprinkle in some intermediate stuff. You know what I mean? Solve some of the lower level division things, and then just let them go right back at it.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. I think it's a clear and cut case where like the stoppage was at the bare minimum. If you're not going to err on the side of early, it was at least questionable. Turn right around and run that back. Run it back. There's nobody. Jamal's not going to be ready until summer. Like this dude, if he's ready to go, he's next. If he's not ready to go in 3 to 4 months, 3 to 5 months, like we're talking April, May, if he's not ready, like somewhere in that range, I say you run it back and just get the fight that I think everybody wanted to see. And I think that's the move. Maybe UFC 300 or 301, somewhere in that vicinity between March and May. And then the winner of that, you can get Jamal in the summer when he's like fully healed. It's actually a good case scenario too, because like I think there was some questions about Jamal coming back in time to actually do that fight, the winner of this fight, just because of how bad the injury was. Like I don't think he's expected to be back for a bit. So you were going to wind up with a champion on ice. So like this is a case scenario where like it kind of solves that because now you can just run this fight back and and do it again and get a definitive answer. If Alex gets it done, great. We'll move on to Jamal, no problem. But if Yuri can get it done, okay. You get the Jamal fight, which was going to happen anyway, because those are the two guys that were linked up to fight in the first place. And then you can maybe circle back to a trilogy down the road. So I think you're right. Yeah, I think the rematch is good. How about that co-main event? What do you want to see next for Pavlovich? What do you want to see next for Aspinall?
So that's I don't know, because as you see, Pavlovich's power is still crazy, so it's not like you can just discard him. But like that was definitely won in a more spectacular fashion.
Sure.
I want to see Jones tested. I think we deserve that.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Aspinall Jones is the move. I think Stipe, much respect, he's the greatest heavyweight of all time. Dude has not fought since he got knocked out by Francis. He's been kind of squatting on his like legacy to try to get a championship fight. And like I agree that he deserves it to a degree, but like they said, I think Dana came out and said he's like, I would never disrespect Stipe with an interim heavyweight title fight. And like, I just wonder if that means that Stipe wouldn't have taken one of these guys. And if that's the case, I don't know if is Dana just being a dick and he just doesn't think that the fight would sell with Stipe unless it's Jones, or was Stipe just not interested in, and he's been kind of difficult to deal with. If that's the case, bro, like you haven't fought since 2020, right? or maybe 2021. No, I think it was 2020. Like it's been a hot minute, man. You got to fight, and so I would say one or the other. I would like to even see. I know Jones has got the belt, so I guess if you're going to do anything, it would be Aspinall Stipe in the meantime while you're waiting on Jones, or you wait out Jones and you just bring the interim belt and the full undisputed belt together, and those two should fight. And Stipe, if he wants to get in the mix, put him up against Pavlovich. You see what I mean? Like maybe match those two up. I don't know. Those are a couple of ideas.
Yeah, like maybe a Pavlovich Gane.
Yeah, Pavlovich Gane actually probably makes sense. Gane's looking, so long as Jones is the champion, Gane ain't getting a sniff of that belt because of just how embarrassing that fucking heavyweight bout was. That championship fight was just so bad.
If anyone even wants to get that belt, I think they got to go through Tom Aspinall now for it to be like definitive.
Totally agree. All right, well that's it for us tonight. We just wanted to recap the pay-per-view because we did a preview show. So this has been the UFC 295 post show. Thanks so much for joining us. This has been the Peripheral Views podcast. We'll be back in a matter of a few days. We're going to record our Napoleon Dynamite film episode. We're going to dive into that film and talk a little bit about it. This has been a UFC exclusive post-fight UFC 295 show. For that, I'm Jake. That was Erroll. This is the Peripheral Views podcast. Thanks so much for joining us.